Don't do what you love. Do what you're fucking good at until you've got enough money to choose to do what you love. Pubeless, crucifix, earringed knobheads on Instagram. You don't know what to sell. You don't know what the margins are. You're just pulling figures out of your ass. This is shit, this is shit, this is shit. That is basically catnip for stupid people.
How did you get into entrepreneurship?
If I said the word entrepreneur out loud, I would have got beaten up. And they used to say, it'll all be worth it when you get that one yes. It wasn't. That was what made me go, fuck this. I'm doing this myself.
That's a learning curve.
Yeah, it made me realise that everyone's a bellend. Ultimately, AI will come and take over the world, but I've ran lots of copy through it many times, and it's still shit.
Okay, let's try and give some practical tips then for people who want to develop their copywriting.
People don't call you up to tell you your content shit. They just use someone else. The biggest thing is having a deep knowledge of your target market. It doesn't matter how good your ads are, how good your fucking design is, how good your product is.
What does a good social media post that attracts interest look like?
So first of all, I tried going into the NHS and said, what the fuck's wrong with me here? They were basically like, yeah, you're mega autistic.
How do you build resilience?
I just think most people are fucking lazy.
Hello, Lewis Kemp. Welcome to Rebels.
Oh, mate, thanks for having me.
No problem at all. I actually wanted you on season 1.
Okay.
What
happened?
What happened was you went on a different podcast, which was also filmed right here. And I was like, oh, you can't go on 2 podcasts filmed in the exact same chair in the same month.
Yeah, makes it look like I've staged it.
But give us a little introduction, who you are, for anybody who's listening and doesn't know.
Yeah, so I'm Lewis. I run Lightbulb Media. We are a creative performance agency based right here in Manchester, and we basically help brands scale online through social media, content creation, and paid ads.
There's a lot of agencies who do similar things, right?
Yeah.
What's your kind of unique approach? How do you guys do it for clients?
So everyone says they are different, and then you go and read their website, and they are a dynamic, award-winning, innovative solutions provider, which actually doesn't mean anything. So we've tried to really embody the fact that we are different, not only in all of our collateral, like our website and things like that, but just the way we operate. So a lot of people will kind of lead along a client and kind of get that cash over the line before they start actually telling them the problems. So we prefer to go in, basically get under the bonnet, rip the whole thing up and say, no, this is shit, this is shit, this is shit. Go and fix all this. Then once you've done it, then we can help you. So I didn't think honesty would be a USP in this game, but it turns out from all the stuff that I'm hearing, it does seem to be. So yeah, we're quite proud of the way we operate. I know it's a Marmite approach, but I'm good with that.
Yeah, no, I came across your content probably like a year and a half ago on LinkedIn. I came across you through LinkedIn, and your posts are actually quite funny. Like, I'll give you a bit of credit.
Thanks.
Like, they're actually quite entertaining. And it's just like no bullshit. Like, what you say is just very like what you get. And I've obviously met you a couple of times. It's the exact same online and offline, which I love. You share some, like, I'd say probably controversial stuff, people would say.
I don't think it's controversial. I think it's just a lot of stuff that people think but won't say. That's a lot of the messages I get. They go, oh, I really wanted to say that, but I can't because my boss is watching, or I can't do this, or my ex-employer might think it's about them.
Yeah.
I just think just fucking say it. Or like, if you don't want to say it, tell me and I'll say it instead.
I love that. Because like 99% of people who read the stuff you write probably agree with you, and I don't think there's ever been a post that I've written of yours that I've been like, no, he's wrong. Like, I always agree, but like you're so right. Nobody's willing to like go past that sanitized, like polished agency founder aesthetic. But
I think it's you have to balance that controversial element with kind of other positive emotions as well, because controversy is great and it can get the eyeballs and the attention on, but also I try and use humor quite a lot to make people laugh, because from a psychological standpoint, I want people to remember feeling good with me. So if I can make them laugh, teach them something along the way, and use the controversy to actually drive conversation, then everyone wins, I think.
Humor's such a unique one, because like when people talk about building a brand or building a business, like humor's not the first thing they think of. It's always like you've got to give value, or you've got to sound authoritative, or you've got to be authentic, whatever that means. So I mean, you've like nailed the humor aspect. How do you bring that online when you're writing some content?
I think first of all, it's a complete contradiction into the platform that I'm using, which is the traditionally professional platform. So it isn't, you don't have to be, Peter Kay to stand out online there to actually be funny. But I think a lot of it is literally just touching on, I suppose, contemporary, relatable topics and references. So I tend to use a lot of metaphors and similes. So, is something hot, or did it burn with the fire of 1,000 suns? Two the same thing, but one of those gets a lot more interaction. and I put things, little Easter eggs in there. So like maybe one really impactful or visceral reference. And then that tends to be the thing that people mention in the comments because it made them laugh, it made them feel something. So I don't think it's too much trying to be, oh, how can I make somebody laugh today? Yeah. It's literally just a stream of consciousness and then going, here's something that you can latch onto within that post to drive the conversation.
Yeah, 100%. I was actually talking to my team today, just talking about the exact thing you've just described, and we call it like conversation triggers. So throughout a post, we've got to litter it with a touch point where immediately it's like becomes really easy for somebody to comment and engage with the content.
Yeah.
So I love that. That's actually really that was a good point.
Thanks.
So much value already.
I know. Oh God, that word.
3 minutes.
So much
Talking about words that you don't like.
Yeah.
Do you want to spill any?
Well, the ones that give me the ick. First of all, probably entrepreneur. I don't know if it's just because of kind of where I came from. If I said the word entrepreneur out loud, I would have got beaten up where I lived growing up, because why are you saying fancy French words for? Like, but I think people like the idea of entrepreneurship because it is, the bar has been brought down now. If you have £12, you can go and register a business, and then you can put £10 in Bitcoin and change your headline to founder, investor, speaker. It doesn't stop anybody doing that. And it is glamorized a lot, but I think the reality of it, if you actually speak to anyone that's been doing it longer than 18 months, is that it is a bit of a shit show, and it's a bit of an over-glamorized word. So that's probably the first one.
Yeah. What would you call yourself then? Just business owner?
Just a business owner trying to get by, mate.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to do my best, make some money so I can go and live somewhere fancy.
Winging it. That's a phrase that I've heard you use quite a lot.
Winging it, yeah. I was on a podcast about winging it, and I think anyone who says that they aren't winging it at this stage is fucking lying to you, because no matter what stage of business they're at, I've met people, doing 100 million a year, and you speak to them and they're still like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just going with the current here and trying to make the best decisions that I can, because nobody ever can prepare you for that with all the advice you can get. You have to learn to swim. Kick them in the deep end and then see if they swim or not. That's real life for most people.
Yeah, 100%. Any other words?
Personal branding.
Go on, tell me why.
Do you know what it is? When it came, it was shiny and new and it was fun. But I think there's been such a flood of utter shit now and drivel that actually the whole concept of it has become a little bit hard. So when people come and ask us for personal branding work, I'll say, no, I can help you with ghostwriting on this. And if a personal brand comes and builds off the back of it, then that's what I would say. But I think ultimately, it's an easy win for someone to come in and sell this to a 55-year-old person who doesn't really understand the internet, and they're told that their personal brand needs to be in there. But yeah, it's just become a bit of a buzzword now, and I've seen a few people kind of move away from that term because it kind of does give them the ick a little bit, and they don't want to be muddied in with all the other people that are kind of pushing it. What do you think about that?
What do I think? So for context to people who don't know, I run a personal branding agency. I actually genuinely agree with you in a lot of ways. Like, we have a lot of clients that come to us who have worked with somebody before, whether it's a freelancer, usually like early 20s. I mean, I'm like mid-20s as well. So usually somebody who's been doing it for like six months has built a very good brand for themselves, because it's much easier to market yourself if you fit a certain demographic, or if you are, for example, creating content about LinkedIn on LinkedIn.
Correct.
Your audience is, everybody, because everybody wants to grow on LinkedIn and build audience, right? So it's easy to grow faster. But then what they've done is try to then go away and build a brand for a 50-year-old, supply chain leader who operates in a very different market and clientele, and then realize actually they can't do it. So then what usually happens is that person will then switch to selling a course or creating certain types of content where they're no longer accountable for the results. So they can sell expertise based on what's worked for them, but that isn't necessarily transferable. And for a lot of our clients, actually, it's great for us, because I'd probably say 75% of the clients that have come to us in the last 3 to 6 months are all people just disgruntled with other agencies, so other people doing a shit job, and then kind of come to us.
Yeah, honestly, you won't believe how many people where they come in and we have to unfuck it ultimately.
Yeah,
And we were talking about this previously off camera as well. It used to be in the glory olden days where you'd actually, develop a real set and bank of case studies before you actually started teaching stuff. Now people are just jumping straight into the teaching, because if I could build this once and sell to everybody, like you say, I have no accountability. That's it, isn't it? It's much easier to teach. There's always going to be more people out there looking to buy hope, ultimately.
Yeah. And it is like, I find myself doing it. Like, I look at somebody's results and I'm like, oh my God, they're absolutely killing it now. Like, they're doing so good. Maybe I should like reach out to them for this, and this. And then I'm like, wait a minute. There's no like data on their website of them doing it for other people.
No.
There's like no reference points. There's no testimonials. There's nothing.
No.
So what advice would you give to somebody who wants to work with an agency in the marketing space? Like, what are the things to look for, and how do you vet people?
I mean, the first thing to do is look at company's house.
Good one.
Because if they're a 7-figure entrepreneur and they're not VAT registered, there's an issue somewhere. Even though they are a little bit out of date, I think that's the first place to look. The second place to look is results. The first thing you should always be asking people is, show me your results. Can I see some results? And can I see some revenue-based results where I can actually see it? Because getting attention is easy. If I drop my pants and ran out onto the main road now, I get attention. Would I sell many marketing services? I don't know. Probably not. Not all attention is created equal, and I don't think people realize that. So I think, testimonials, and if you can actually speak to those people as well, that's usually really, really good. Retention is great as well. I think client retention speaks for itself. If you've had clients for 2-3 years and they're still happy with you, it pretty much shows that you know what you're doing. Whereas if you're churning through ones every 3 months when the initial contract's up and they realize that they've clocked onto the fact that you don't know what you're doing. And also the claims. The claims that I see online, I'm constantly hit with like...
Go on, share some.
Pubeless, crucifix, earringed knobheads on Instagram ads saying, oh, I can 10x this and 20x that. How do you know? You don't know what to sell. You don't know what the margins are. You're just pulling figures out of your ass. If anyone gives you a guarantee or tells you they can guarantee anything in marketing, run away fast.
Yeah.
And if everyone says they're doing stuff for free, always check the T's and C's, because there's always going to be something in there that means you're not going to get it for free. There's always a catch. So a little bit, just scratch a little bit and you usually find all the holes.
Especially when it comes to like the word virality. Like, we're going to make you viral, or it's the classic emails you get, we're going to guarantee 8 to 10 quality leads per week. Yeah.
Nobody can guarantee that. Because I'm just a curious person, I like to be driven by data. Virality is something that's fairly straightforward to get. So I did an experiment a couple of weeks ago where I thought, I'll just do some viral posts this week. Did 3, all went viral. 0 business opportunities. So I was like, oh, that's not changed from when I did it 2 years ago. So we're still good. 0 business opportunities. Then did a case study of some actual results. 4 leads, 1 turns into a client. Okay, so this still works. And I always will test that, because sometimes I am wrong. And I like to keep stress testing the theories, but ultimately every time I try it and everyone I speak to, it's the same. Virality, it can be the most poisonous thing for you, because ultimately I think the longer you dilute your audience like that and the more diluted it does get, you start seeing people coming on leaving AI generated comments. If they do that, it gets put into their audiences. Also, people that want to do that, it gets harder and harder for you to reach the people that you actually want to speak to. And then LinkedIn doesn't have this mass unfollow or block feature. So once you keep clogging it up, over time you realize that you've now fucked it. And you have to manually go back in, reteach the algorithm who you want to speak to, who you don't want to speak to, and like literally block these people if you genuinely want to treat it as a business platform rather than just a dopamine fuel.
100%. I mean, there's 2 things in there. One is the rise of like AI and AI engagement on social media platforms. And then the other one is pods. So like formal organized groups where people comment and like on each other's content as a kind of a formal or informal agreement to boost engagement and hack the algorithm. What are your thoughts on both of those, using AI to drive engagement and using pods?
For me, I think ultimately AI will come and take over the world, but I've ran lots of copy through it many, many times, and it's still shit. So it will be good in a way, because it will basically wipe out the mediocre copywriters that just want to do the filler and stuff like that. But for me, I block 20, 30 people a day. If anyone leaves a reworded hash post with me tagged at the bottom of it, I know it's AI and they're gone straight away, because I don't want my audience diluted with those people, so I get rid of those straight away. I think we're a ways off it actually, being, all that could have come from a person and get the nuances of personality. So I think as a copywriter, I know I'm safe for a little bit on that front. And then on the pod thing, I just think it's a bit sad, really, because why would you advocate that the only way you could get engagement or have impact here is to basically pay or convince people to do it for you? You're literally advertising that it's shit and that this won't land unless it's given some kind of artificial inflation.
Yeah.
So if you're then selling copywriting services, it doesn't make logical sense to me and my little logical brain to say, I'll write content for you, but my own content is not good enough to perform without artificial engagement. That doesn't seem like a good sales pitch to me.
Yeah. Also, it's so obvious. I don't know if people who do it realize, but it's so obvious.
If I see the word elevate or fucking skyrocket again, I swear to God, I just go, right, okay, I know that that's what you're into.
And you're probably the same, but I've been invited to a few of these pod groups, and it's not never actually called a pod. It's called like a LinkedIn hype group or something like that. It's like a WhatsApp chat it starts with. And I've been invited to them, and then like 3 months later, that person who invited me writes a post saying, I've just got my client 50,000 followers and this is how I did it, and they give like really shitty mediocre tips like post consistently, target your ICP,
give value,
just
keep showing up, be yourself.
But they'll never ever mention their engagement. And every time I see it, I'm like, don't do it, don't comment, because it'll cause loads of drama. But I'm always like, and you forgot to mention the use of a pod. I'm like so tempted to comment that on the post, but I never do it. But maybe one day when I've like had enough and I have no fucks left to give, I'll just do a massive expose.
It's good to invite those people onto public forums though, and panels and things like that. Put it on their toes, and if all they can say is, just give value, you go, yeah, there's nothing behind this, is there? You're literally just taking entry-level theory from some B-Tech marketing course, wrapping it in your branding, and telling more naive and desperate people that this is the way.
Yeah. Do you use any form of AI in your content at the moment, or none at all, as an agency?
No.
Really, that's interesting, because a lot of copywriters I've spoken to are like slightly apprehensive and anxious about AI in general. Do you not share that for your concern?
No.
Why not?
Minute, because I think with the way that we write, if we were writing some dull thing where someone just wanted to sound just like everybody else in the market, cool. If that's what you do, be worried, because AI can write that all day. Mm-hmm. We write kind of personality-driven stuff that's actually going to drive conversions, have real impact, has a sense of humor, has the popular culture references that it's not necessarily going to get, and even if it does put them in, it's delivered completely incorrectly. So I think we've just got that angle of being better than it for the moment until it, I have seen, I think it's Elon Musk's one, I think it's called Grok.
Right.
And it basically just is like a sweary, and I did try it out, and I thought that's the closest so far that I've seen. But as far as all the other ones, no, I think it's weak. I think you can smell it a million miles off. And as I always say to people don't call you up to tell you your content's shit. They just use someone else.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good point. I've never heard that.
Yeah.
That's such a good point. I'm going to remember that one. Okay, let's try and give some like practical tips then for people who want to develop their copywriting. Mm-hmm. Say I am wanting to create a conversion style landing page, right? I've got service or product, and I want to get as many eyeballs on the page first of all, and to sell. Yeah. Right. What kind of tips would you give around the copy? Like any kind of basic components or advice that I should be focusing on? So
first of all, anything like that's a multi-channel journey, you need to be starting at the end point and working backwards. So if you're sending everyone to this landing page, the landing page is the bit where you start.
Got you.
And then when they land on there, you've got to put yourself in the customer's shoes. So first of all, they're not going to wait around for it to take 8 seconds to load or whatever. When they land, you'll see the bit above the fold, which is the first bit they see before they have to scroll. Before there, you should have basically the mission statement of what it is that you're trying to get across, maybe with some features, and then sandwiched in between social proof. So you might have a featured in bar above it, then what it actually does with a sign up button or a CTA, then with some testimonials underneath it. Before anyone scrolled anywhere there, they've landed, and within 2 seconds, you've told them who it's for, how it helps, why it's better than other people, and the fact that other people are using it with a CTA. So they don't really need it to see anything else for a lot of people.
Got you.
Then further down from that, you can obviously flesh it out and talk about the team and how it works, or the background of the product or the service. So, but I just think having that above the fold is the most important piece, because with any form of copywriting, the biggest thing is having a deep knowledge of your target market. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter how good your ads are, how good your fucking design is, how good your product is. If you don't know deeply what your product, what your audience is struggling with, and how you fix it, and why it's better than the other people that they can just go and Google, you won't land conversions.
Love that.
That's on the landing page part.
Got you. Okay, say I'm now writing a email newsletter campaign to get people onto the website. What is going to help drive opens and clicks within the newsletter itself?
First of all, it's the curiosity in that headline, because I think, you know, you could have such good content packed behind it, but if it doesn't drive curiosity within that headline, that's what you really, really need to look at. And you're very, very limited. This is why it's a good test of copywriting, because you're so limited on the actual characters that you can put across to draw that curiosity in. Oh my God, I can't believe you didn't see this, or something like that. You do need to be a little bit clickbaity with your email headlines just to get people to actually open them. The key then is actually delivering on what you've promised, whereas most clickbait doesn't deliver on what you promise. If you then shove something in their face, give them a really exclusive deal, make it personalized to them. I think personalization is the key. Like, people are getting better at segmentation.
Yes.
And I don't just mean saying like, hey, first name. I mean looking in depth at, okay, well, if they've bought this sofa, they're probably not going to buy another sofa. But what they probably might want is 4 dining chairs. So actually, we know that you bought XYZ. We hope it's really going well. If you're looking to renovate your ABC, come and look at this and this that we've tailored just for you. Suddenly I've opened it and I feel like you're just speaking to me. And it's not a complete blast to everybody where I just feel like another number. So personalization is really, really key in there. And I think as a sign off, the personal touch as well. I don't see enough people do it because they want to seem bigger than they are or whatever. But every time you put something in, you know, from the social media manager or the founder or whatever, it's just that nice personal touch that makes it feel like a conversation and not just a bulletin board of, here's the Argos catalogue, come and buy our stuff, please.
So giving content like a unique voice rather than the company brand.
Make it conversational. Make it conversational 100%. As if I'm speaking to you right now, what would I say? If you're a friend of mine and I want you to get something that's going to benefit your life, what would you say to me? And then think about it like that, as if you would say it, and then put that into your emails.
Wicked. Okay. Zooming out a little bit more now. Say I'm writing a social media post to get people to subscribe to my newsletter, so then I can move them to a landing page. So this is more to top of funnel awareness, right? So what does a good social media post that attracts interest and attention? What does that look like?
So first of all, it depends on the format that you're putting it in. Because if you're doing something like a reel or a TikTok, you know, you've got to understand that we are all now squirrel brain dopamine junkies. You've got probably 2 seconds, maybe even less, to get someone to stop that. So ideally, if you can call someone out for who they are, you know, if you're a content creator that wants to make more money from your post, you need to see this. Or if you're a brand struggling with ABC, you need to know this. Okay, instant relatability. We basically track custom metrics called thumb stop ratio and hook rates and things like that to figure out how long people are watching, whether it actually stops the scroll or not. That's the first piece of it. And this is where you start thinking about it in a modular way as well, because you can have the exact same middle and end, but you can put 15 different hooks on it. Run those all and see which one gets the best response rate, because everything in marketing is about split testing. So the more you think on a modular level, you don't have to create 12 bits of content. You have to create 1 bit of content with 12 hooks, which is much simpler when you're batching things out. And then I suppose it's in the actual caption. I read so many shit captions because they just constantly talk about, you know, the features of it and things like that. But actually what people want is the relatability of, I want to be able to imagine myself using this or seeing me using this, or I want to know that you get me. I want to know that you get pop culture references, or, you know, certain trends that are going off and how this might help me fit in and look cool to my friends, or whatever it is, the goal of the thing that you're trying to sell. So I would say, again, try and make it personable there as well, rather than just listing off all your features and expecting people to read it, because attention spans are at an all-time low. And you need to give people a reason to follow you and keep coming back. Are they going to be entertained? Are they going to be informed? Are they going to be educated? What is it that you are offering people to keep coming back?
Yeah. Okay, well, there you go. You've got copyright masterclass free of charge there. So what I'm kind of taking away from that is, like, if we were to create like a checklist for people to be great copywriters, one thing that kind of really stood out is like benefit-driven, customer-centric writing. So less about you, less about your nice features, less about your team and, you know, the story behind the journey, and more, this is how it helps you. This is why we're better than everybody else, and this is proof using data, testimonials, key metrics that show that, right?
Correct.
And then personalization. So speak directly to one person, agitate pain points, leverage emotion, add humor to it potentially. If you can. Go to Lightbulb then. So they're kind of the key bits. And it's interesting because everything you've said is just about the wording and language choice and not necessarily the design and functionality. Obviously, they play a component, but would you say the copy is the most important bit?
So there's that a few gurus online that are like, oh, the format of the post is more important than the content itself. It's fucking nonsense.
Yeah.
That's how you know someone who isn't a copywriter. If you think, nicely formatted steps and things like that is actually what's going to have an impact, that is basically catnip for stupid people. If that's the only way you can engage people, if you format it like that, you're not going to make any money through copywriting. I guarantee you they can write that. I can write 15 lines with no spaces in between it, and mine would generate more clients than a nicely formatted fucking vacuous motivational quote would. Guaranteed.
Got you. Substance style.
Always. And I think it's you have to, particularly with copy, you have to leverage things like hooks. Just to get people to look at you, but obviously you do have to actually deliver what you're saying. There's so much on hooks, and I don't want people to get the ick around those because they are very, very useful. Yeah. And there is a whole like general structure around storytelling about hooks. But then eventually, if people know what they're going to get from you all the time and they keep feeling that emotion, eventually the poster, the person posting becomes the hook. And you just go, Shoaib posted that the other day. I always like his post, so I'm just going to click see more anyway. Even if the hook doesn't get me, I'm going to give this more time and attention. You've got to understand where you are in the journey at the start. No one owes you anything, right? You're going into their fees trying to grab their attention, so you have to make it customer centric. Once you build up some reputation, you can go, right, they normally give me quite a lot, so I'm going to give them probably an extra 2 seconds, read a little bit more and do a little bit more. So you can start then playing around with more techniques or making it longer or trying new formats or new endings or whatever it may be.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with same with what we do for clients. The attention bit is like, you have to get that because without it, nothing happens. But then it's the retention bit, because retention builds trust. And if you constantly clickbait in the hook and then you disappoint and underwhelm, right? And then those people are never going to read. I was going to think of an analogy then, but I thought maybe best not. But yeah, so you've got to retain it, fulfill the promise, build the trust, and then the next, second, third, fourth, fifth time, you don't have. It's not as hard, right? Yeah, it's an easier sell because people are like, last time I clicked this, I enjoyed it, I laughed, I went and got some value from it. Yeah. And so now I'm just going to keep doing it.
I say to people all the time, like, it's not necessarily the content itself, because I could go and post something now in week 450 of posting that I posted in week 1. I imagine it would do a lot better. It would be the exact same content, but actually it's that reputation and retention of being around and then peppering in social proof and things like that make people then go, actually, this is something worth listening to now. The content is exactly the same. The only thing that's changed is the captive audience, and whether that captive audience is right at the top of the funnel or they're being pushed further down. They already know that you're building that credibility and social proof to basically get them further and further down into basically pushing them off platform into leads or DMs or, website inquiries, which is ultimately what really matters.
Yeah, no, that's so true. I did a similar thing. I actually repurposed an old post last week, and it got like 2.5 times the engagement. There you go. And it was very, very, very similar. I think I changed a word because I was like, everything I wrote here, I still fully stand by. Yeah. And so I guess that ties into the whole like AI thing as well, right? Because if you are happy with firstly the content you share and it's in your unique voice, you become the differentiator. Correct. Whereas with AI, you don't have a differentiator because it's just all stuff taken already from the web, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's just basically the median average of all the other shit on the internet. Yeah. And if you want to be the median average, good luck trying to stand out in any industry now these days. Everything's saturated. So
100%. The power of personal branding.
Don't, mate, please.
I had to do a full circle moment then.
I love it.
Okay, let's go into paid ads, because that's something I like to do. And I think I'll be honest, in my agency, I've never used paid ads. Yeah. Partly because I know nothing about them. Yeah. Tell me why I should use paid ads, or somebody in general, an agency should use paid ads, and how to do it effectively.
Ultimately, I'd say a lot of people aren't ready to use paid ads. They think they are. Okay. They come to us and like probably 60-70% of people say, we're ready to scale with paid ads. And as I always say to them, ads just amplify what already exists. So if you don't have your margins nailed, your unit economics, your website doesn't load, it's shit or whatever, it's just going to make you fail faster. So we say go and actually set up the foundational things like landing pages that convert. Have you got a proof of concept of this before you jump into ads? Do people actually want this on a small scale? If they do, we can take it to a large scale. If you want to be testing the waters with ads, you better have very, very deep pockets, because it's just data gathering. Because if you come in, you launch it organically to your mailing list. Yeah. 500 people buy it, you go, okay, there's legs in this. Now we just send it to 5,000 or 50,000 people, and you know it's getting there. So I would say, first and foremost, prove concept before you even look to amplify anything with ads.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of things, because it is an amplifier, there are so many different variables, I think, that affect it. You can have the best ads in the world. As I said before, if your website takes 15 seconds to load, ain't nobody waiting for it.
Yeah.
Or if your product's shit, someone will buy it once, but they ain't going to come back. So you've got to look at basically everything multi-channel. So as soon as you've got that deep knowledge of your target market, this is where you replicate what you're saying in the ads, you put that onto the landing pages, and you cover it in social proof to make them know that they're in the right place. And then on the ads themselves, we usually split that into kind of two clear camps. So you've got the top funnel stuff, which is pain point driven. You're struggling with this, you're struggling with that, you're struggling with that, and they're going, yeah, how did you know? They probably won't go and buy the first time because that's not how people work.
Yeah.
But they might go onto the site, get hit by a pixel, and we go, cool, now we're going to retarget you.
Yeah.
That's where the credibility comes in, and we go, this is Shoaib talking about how great our service was and doing an unboxing video and saying, oh guys, you can't miss out on this. Having that journey there is basically just putting an arm around the shoulder. First of all, we slap them in the face and say, you're having this problem. Then we put the arm around the shoulder and go, we can solve this. Yeah. Come over here. We've got this. We've got this offer for you just now. Scarcity, urgency, FOMO. And then we guide them along until they buy.
Love it. Love it. I think another thing I'm getting from this is the importance of looking at the entire customer journey. Yeah. And they are, again, probably a red flag for a lot of agencies. I want to kind of promise attention, awareness, nurturing, conversion, and they do Instagram video reels, and that's it.
Yeah. You physically can't do that. There are so many variables that matter. And I think the problem is that we've been so blessed with so much data for so long of people like brand owners living in Google Analytics, and then they changed it all, and then we've got privacy, and now we've got ad blockers, and people are still trying to treat their channels as competitors and going, yeah, but this performed better, so let's put more budget over here. And we see it all the time, like, oh, paid social isn't working, it's all coming from Google. And I used to, spend weeks going back and forth and trying to explain it. Now I go, okay, cool, watch this. Turn off paid social, everything drops 40%. Turn it on. Okay, so now you're understanding how it works now. You're better just to save your breath and let the data do the talking, because one channel can generate demand, one channel can capture demand, and once you've got it, your emails can then elongate, that lifetime value to basically make sure you're profitable over time. The best thing about ads is you can track every single stage of that journey. You know where the weak spot is. Every single time, is it you're getting loads of add to carts, but people aren't getting to the checkout, or you're getting loads of checkouts, but no one's purchasing. Okay, well, are we asking for too many fields? Have we got enough payment options on there? Have we got social proof on the checkout? Put those things on. It improves. We can always pinpoint where the holes are. Yeah. And we feed that back directly to the client all the time.
There's a bit of science to it as well.
It's science and art, yeah. It's a combination of the two.
Yeah. And also, that links quite nicely to the reputation that marketing has and the appearance versus reality of actually working in marketing and having a marketing role.
Yeah.
How is the reality different to what you would describe as the image, the perception of, being a marketer?
I think, honestly, when I spend like even 5 minutes on Instagram or TikTok now, I'm like, oh shit, is this what it's like? Everyone is starting their first job on 70K, working 1 day a week, but only on things that set their soul on fire, and we're doing it from Bali. And I'm like, am I missing something here? And then I realized, no, it's all bollocks. Yeah. It really is to basically, if you dig a little bit deeper, you usually find that those people are selling something, which is usually hope to the naive, the desperate, the young. The reality of it is there's always something on fire. Always. Yeah. Always. Particularly if you're in an agency and you're working with multiple brands. You have to get good at basically flipping between those as well. As I said, you could be selling insurance at 9 o'clock and then, sex toys at 12 o'clock. And then you've got to make sure that you can flip those hats on and get those different tones of voices going. And then a lot of it is literally just herding people as well on the client side. Come back, you got to chase people for this, and you haven't made payment, and you haven't updated your approvals checklist, and you haven't sent us this content that you said you were going to send us. So you're spinning a million plates with marketing, particularly if it's more than one service. Like say we do social copywriting, paid social, paid search. So you're trying to tie all those things together with potentially other people that are in different services times 30.
Yeah, because marketing, I don't think has like a lot of executive buy-in in especially more corporate companies. Like marketing is still within the companies seen as the first one to go when budgets are tight, right? It's like where's the tangible value from marketing?
Yeah,
a lot of people are just shit at showing it.
Yeah,
as well. So what would you say if you're in a marketing company and you're in a marketing team, and you are trying to push something and showcase the value to the leadership team, the board, and they're just not understanding it or telling you how to, run your ads, how to create your website, and they're like, have never posted on social ever. How do you build that authority as a marketer?
I think the first thing you have to do is tell them what they need to be measuring. You say, what do you think your KPIs are here? What have you been doing? And then, we've been measuring this, this, and this, but you're the 9th agency we've spoken to. Well, it's probably because you're measuring the wrong thing. So we say, these are the actual KPIs, and this is actually showing growth, because people will just pull numbers out their arse and say, let's have a 10x. Why? Yeah. Sounds cool. Show me your unit economics. And they don't know them. You can have a 10x and be losing money, and you can have a 2x and you'd be making money. But if you actually don't know what to look at, so we basically, there's a whole education piece that has to be done to go, these are the core metrics we look at to track success. And also, please stop thinking that social is a direct conversion channel. It's part of that mid-funnel authority building journey where people will do their due diligence, come and check you out. And if the last thing you posted was a fucking Starbucks in 2016, you're probably not going to get that enterprise deal. Like, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that. So it's making them understand that you have to track things blended. Yeah. Not one thing will be the hero. It's not going to be a case of, all the sales are coming from this, so let's bang everything into this. Because you just turn the tap off at the top, and it's all good for a week, and then you go, no more leads, because you switched off the tap. And then you're chasing your tail again, and it's that constant cycle that so many brands go through, and they wonder why they keep treading water and they can't scale. And it's because they're measuring fundamentally the wrong things. So that's the first education piece. And before, we used to fight and try and explain it. Now, don't have time because there's someone waiting that's fully invested. So if you're not on board with it, let's look at the historical data. You haven't grown in 9 years. If you don't want to change, keep doing you, because these guys are ready. So please hurry up, get out of the way.
I love that, because that's such a good mindset to be in. But at the beginning of, I know when I started my business, I was not in that mindset of if you're not on board, go away. I was just desperate to get clients, and I was sacrificing all my boundaries, and I was just trying to convince people who just didn't want to be convinced about the value of something. Yeah. So rewinding to the start of your journey, what did that look like? How did you get into entrepreneurship?
I mean, the first jobs I had before uni, I did the rite of passage that everyone does. Yeah. I saw a job advert, field sales executive, started 11 a.m. Thought, great. Didn't tell you finished at 7 p.m. And that was basically door knocking.
I did the same thing.
In the rain, on the roughest council estates, being chased by dogs, getting told to fuck off 99 times a day. And they used to say, it'll all be worth it when you get that one yes. Wasn't at all. They used to get together in the morning and put Denzel Washington things on and all huddle and jump around. Yeah. And I remember just thinking, I'm going to fucking top myself here. I can't be in this. So I suggested that, because we were doing energy switching, and I said, surely there's data on people that are coming to the end of their contract. Why don't we just get those and target those houses? And apparently that wasn't a winner's mindset, so I got sacked from there.
I also got fired from mine.
Perfect. Full circle, we're back.
We're here. We did all right.
So that was all right. And then I ended up in telesales and email marketing after that, which is, not very glamorous, doing public sector events. But it was all right, but then I got sacked from there. I was coming in late and drunk and stuff. I knew I was going to uni, but because the fees were tripling before I went, I'm that old. Okay. So, I was just fucking around, to be honest with you. On a couple of grand a month, had no overheads, living at home, so I was just going out and spanking it every weekend and every week and coming in, and then eventually I got let go from there.
Right. I'm noticing a trend here.
Yeah. I struggled to be told what to do.
Okay.
So, and then after uni, I went into it was a friend's company. His brother-in-law was launching a nutrition brand with some American celebrity, and we're doing his whole nutrition range. We're going to fly him over and do loads of sell out events at Hale Country Club, the Reebok Club, and stuff like that. An event city in Manchester, I think it was called. Me being very naive, I was like, I know there's a lot of outlays and stuff, so why don't you just pay me when it's done? Yeah. Obviously sold out all the events, went really well, and I was like, oh, cool, you got that few grand for the work that I've been doing over the last 4 or 5 months. No. Oh, okay, cool. What'd you do in that situation? Your best mate's brother-in-law. That's the first foray into business properly.
That's crazy. That's a learning curve.
Yeah, it made me realise that everyone's a bell end.
Yeah.
Everyone's a bear. And everything should be contracted. I don't care if it's your mum, your nan, whatever. Sign the paper.
It's a different type of podcast, that is.
Yeah.
No, but I had a similar experience with a client who I built a really good relationship with. So then it kind of became awkward talking about money, which should never ever be the case.
Yeah.
And they were kind of like pivoting their business in a different direction, and were like saying to me, "Oh, you know, we're working on this, and we're getting investment, or we've got someone on board."
Of course.
And this went on for like 2 or 3 months, and in my stupid naivety, I was like, "They've been paying on time for 8-9 months."
Yeah.
2-3 months of extra work whilst they figure stuff out, not a big deal. I go for dinner with these guys and stuff like that, so it wasn't like too much of a big deal. Anyway, to cut a long story short, 3 months later I'm 24k down, and they've gone bankrupt, and there's nothing I can do legally to get that money back.
No.
And that for me was like, Jesus, you were stupid. Like 24k.
Yeah, you can't be nice.
That's like a mortgage to a house, and I was just like, that's actually crazy.
You can't be nice.
But like the best thing that, well, it wasn't the best thing, it was a shit thing, but it was like a good thing for me to learn.
I think it's a good
never
time.
made that
it's a good time to learn it. I think I'm grateful that it happened then, rather than being done over for like God knows 500k in 10 years time, and feeling that burn then, just going, actually cool. Don't care how it is now. If we're friends, then you won't have a problem signing the prenup. Let's do that together.
Exactly. So from that point then, got screwed over. Was that your trigger to then go and do your own thing?
No, it was, yeah. I started freelancing then. I was doing like a few months and stuff like that, but you kind of like wanting to grow but not really knowing how. I didn't have a black book of anything really. And then a guy came across. He said, "Oh, well, I've got an agency. Why don't you come in? We'll build a team around you and stuff like that. We work a lot in like financial services, so PPI, package bank accounts, IVAs, debt, not sexy stuff." But I was like, "Yeah, cool. We'll come in and we'll do that." And to be fair, he was sick. He's like the best salesman I've ever seen. So I kind of cut my teeth there. But it's also where I met a lot of people in boardrooms that don't know what they're fucking talking about. I always assumed if you're an MD, CEO, a founder, you're the nuts and you know. But when you're talking about the one thing that I know inside out, and they're basically saying, "Oh, we're going to do this and do this, and this is how it's going to work." And I'm like, "No, it's not." And I'd get out of the meeting and be like, "It's not going to work like that." And then it inevitably fails. And I'm going, "I told you this." No, you did it wrong. No, you made me do what you wanted to do, and it's failed, and now you can't. That was what made me go, fuck this. I'm doing this myself, and I'm going to go in, be honest, and say, that is shit. What's the point in this person? This is how we're going to do it. If people like it, great. If they don't, I've done it wrong. Back to the drawing board, go and get a job and crack on. And I always knew it would be a Marmite approach. But for the brands that come to us, like I say, they've been burned. So we just come in and go, yeah, that's terrible. Like, this is before you give us £1. We say, no, fix this. Then you're ready. Yeah. And people find it refreshing. Some people don't like it because, nobody likes to be told they've got an ugly baby. And ultimately, we know marketing. You know your thing. We know how to basically get people to do what we want them to do. So let's just both stick to what we're good at. And I think this will go really well. But as you probably know, everyone's a marketer. It's the only career that everyone can do if they have time.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
Now you've got a team of 8, right?
Yeah.
That's how what's the time zone we're looking at? How long from freelancing and to today?
To be fair, I got Ira on as first. In fact, no, when I was freelancing, I had like a web dev, initially doing bits and bobs, and then I realized I didn't want to touch websites because it's such a faff, and I can't physically speak to techies. They speak another language, and I want to just smash their heads in because they just don't do simple things. So I moved away from that, and I got Ira in probably 18 months into the business. So before that, basically like a one-man team. So I was doing the social, copywriting, strategy, paid social, paid search.
And then also probably bringing in the sales,
biz
dev,
all that stuff
accounts,
as well. So,
legal.
Yeah, all that stuff. So that was fun. That was fun.
What was that actually like? Because I've spoken a little bit about it. Like, I don't regret going like so hard and working like a fucking dog in that time because it's like fast tracked my growth, but it isn't sustainable. What was it like day to day for you?
I think I just basically put my blinkers on and said there is no other choice here. When you've got that fire under your arse and you don't have any fucking money, like, do this or you ain't eating, like, or you ain't paying rent or anything. So I just didn't let emotion. I'm quite good at shutting off emotion and just getting up and doing the hard thing. So I literally just made it systematic of getting up and going, right, this 3 hours is for social, this 3 hours is for ads, this 3 hours is for copy. And just get up and just rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat up until you get to the breaking point where you're like, I can't do this for 6 clients on my own. And then you're like, okay, cool. So 1, can I afford to hire? And 2, which bits do I want them to do?
Yeah.
Because people are like, oh, do what you love. Don't do what you love. Do what you're fucking good at until you've got enough money to choose to do what you love. Always do what you're good at. So I found that ads and copy were the ones for me. I'm a terrible designer. If you've ever seen our first logo, please do not Google it. It looks like it's been drawn by a pissed child. So I brought Ira in initially on content, and then she started as an apprentice, and then has grown, and she's now our ops manager, 4 years down the line.
Wicked.
Which is good. And then, the team's just fleshed out into kind of like pods that we build. So like not that kind of pod, but like paid advertising and design and social. And we just hire kind of in bulk to handle batches of clients.
Yeah. How is it growing a team? Because working on your own is very different to managing people. It's almost a different job.
Yeah.
Any advice you'd give to somebody who's
you don't want advice from me, honestly. I used to think everybody just worked like me automatically, whereas I'd just be given a task, given a deadline, leave me alone, I'll come back to you when it's done.
Yeah.
Then I realized that was autism. And other people need a little bit of an arm around the shoulder or this or encouragement or words of affirmation. And I'm like, oh, shit, I'm not very good at this.
Yeah.
How are you feeling today? Have you done the work? And there's a little voice in my head, and I'm just, no, don't like efficiency. I just like efficiency all the time. But obviously people work differently, so I had to learn. And then eventually I realized that I was not very good at that, so why try and pretend to be something I'm not?
Yeah.
She was amazing at it, which is why she now runs and sticks the teams together, and I can stick to the things I'm good at. She sticks to the things that she's good at. Yeah, because I just think it would have been a waste of time otherwise.
How did that autism diagnosis, like, did it change the way you work, or how did it affect you on a personal level?
I think on a personal level, because I always thought it was just underlying anxiety consistently from being a kid, not wondering why you just didn't fit in, or like your head was screaming when you were in like crowds or people touch you. And I just thought, maybe I'm a bit of a psychopath the older you get, and then you're a bit of a loner and stuff like that. And then as you learn more about mental health, which is obviously a bigger conversation, I thought maybe it's anxiety, depression. So I tried going into the NHS and said, yo, what the fuck's wrong with me here? And they were basically like, oh, here are these 3 circles, which one do you fit in? Do you feel anxious because of this? And I could hear her Googling the things, and I just thought, that fucking irritates me straight away. Yeah. And I basically said I didn't fit into any of the circles, and they basically said, oh, can't help you then. Peace out, see you later. And then...
It's mad.
Yeah. And then, I just read something online and was like, that does sound a bit like me. Maybe I'll look into that. So obviously, didn't want to trust the NHS again, so lucky enough to go private. Yeah. And then, went through it. They were basically like, you're mega autistic. Oh, okay, cool. Kind of makes sense. It does stop you being like hard on yourself though, as far as like, okay, this just isn't a strength of mine. And if now I just bounce from meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting. Now there's a buffer time in between calls or networking for like a decompression thing, because otherwise I was going mad if I have fucking 6 calls back to back. I would just melt down and not be able to speak the next day, which is pretty hard if you need to be creative and do things and push people together and motivate people. So
yeah, that's interesting. I work with a couple of clients at the moment who are ADHD coaches and work kind of around other neurodivergencies, but they also talk about how your feelings are a window to your needs. So once you understand your feelings and why you feel that way, then you can actually install the processes to help your needs be met in a different way. Yeah. So I guess that's such a common one as well. A lot of people say to me, like, they didn't really feel elated or sad about a diagnosis. It was just a case of, okay, this is the thing. Now I understand how my brain works, so I can optimize and be more efficient.
I think that's the difference. I don't know if it's different between the different types of neurodivergence and stuff like that. I think for some people, you can make it your entire identity if you want to. Yeah. And I understand where that comes from a primitive emotional need, because if you feel a little bit lost or whatever, and suddenly you see people being labeled as heroes and so brave, of course, well, I want to be a hero and I want to be so brave, so therefore I'm going to make that thing my entire identity. Yeah. I just think, I've got some strengths, some weaknesses, work around it, work to my strengths, meet people where they are. The world isn't going to fucking change and wrap around me. It's just not. Get on with it. Like, yes, you can advocate for change while still moving forward. Yes. Don't put your fucking stake in the ground and say, I'm not moving till you come to me, or you're going to live a very, very depressed life and you're going to hit 35 and go, I fucked it here. I've alienated everyone. Yeah. So that's my kind of outlook on how I deal with neurodiversity and how I give advice to, I suppose, other neurodiverse people.
I like it. I mean, different but kind of similar with how I used to think about being a person of colour and also like being a young founder.
Mm.
And I always used to like create content around like the struggle, the struggle in quote unquote. And then I was like, actually, it's not really a struggle. It's just like, it is what it is. And the minute you get over that and stop like self-victimizing or trying to leverage that and just talk about what you're actually good at, because that's what people buy into, right? Like, I can help you with this. They don't care like who you are, away from, whatever. So you talk about resilience a lot as well.
Yeah.
And that kind of ties into this wider discussion.
I think so.
What makes somebody resilient? How do you build resilience?
I think it's actually being willing to get back up and go again. I think we're building a society, and this is not just Gen Z. I think social media's got a lot to answer for now, where victimhood is celebrated, and any form of resilience or wanting to work hard or wanting to stay late or wanting to go a little bit beyond. It's kind of like, remember at school when there was a kid that worked hard and he was making everyone else look bad, so you'd shame him and say, you fucking nerd. Like, that's what people are getting now. If they want to just work hard and go above what the complete minimum effort requirement is. And I think it's very easy to get sucked into that, because ultimately, no matter how crazy your beliefs are, it's the internet, and you'll always be able to find some people that will validate that in an echo chamber. If you don't have people around you to tell you actually what you need to hear that's based on experience, again, you're going to get a group of people together, they'll all validate each other's craziness. No one will ever challenge any viewpoints, and if they do, they're cancelled or toxic or problematic or whatever other therapy speak people are using and weaponizing now. People don't realize the pain or the things that they're doing until it's too late. And then you're going to hit in 10 years down the line, you're going to look around and go, what have I done? But by then it's too late, because you burned all your bridges. So I think always surround yourself with people that tell you the things that you need to hear or that you don't particularly want to hear. Everything that's helped me the most personally and professionally has been something I didn't want to hear, because it dents your ego. So you've got to be willing to put efficiency over your ego, I say all the time.
I love that. And the quote is, you're the average of the 5 or 6 people around you. What does your average look like?
Yeah, my friends, it's changed a lot. So obviously I grew up on a council estate called Great Lever in Sunny Bolton, just down the road. But then I ended up getting a scholarship to a private school there, and it kind of opened my eyes massively. So I was just going to be a roofer with my dad and just do that. And then I went there and I was around like money and these crazy houses and people that were making all this money. You can't be what you can't see. So I was like, oh shit, like this exists. And some of these people in this school are gobshites. And if they can do it, I can definitely do it. So I always go into things, I'm quite confident in my own abilities to a delusional level. But I think you have to be.
That's good. To
try and push through that, because if you listen to what everyone else tells you, you'll never get anywhere, because they'll try and keep you down exactly where they are.
For sure.
Without sounding like a motivational wanker. But ultimately, I think my friends, they don't really look for excuses or anything like that. They never really say, I can't. It's always talking about kind of ideas rather than people and gossip. It's like, cool, let's do this together. I can hook you up with this guy. Let's look at this project together. There's always just an openness and a forwardness about it. No one ever, and if anyone tries to kind of bathe in victimhood for too long, we're like, get your fucking head right. Have your time. Cool, let's snap out of it and back to it. So we're not saying don't feel anything ever, but ultimately you need to keep moving forwards.
Yeah, such good advice. You mentioned the growing up in a council estate and then going to a private school. Talk to me about the difference there, because that must have been like such a fucking culture shock.
Yeah, it was mad, to be fair, because it was weird. Like, growing up, we were always hanging around with people that are a little bit older. And then if you look back now and you see like a 12, 13-year-old, you're like, wow, they are small. Yeah. And then at 12, 13, you're like getting people to go shop, get you some Lambert and Butler and smoking weed and fighting random other gangs and stuff like that. And then it's like, and then a couple of years later, you're doing your Latin homework in a place that looks like Hogwarts, and you're like, yeah, this is weird, man. This is weird. But I kind of like having both. Yeah. Having the knowledge of both, because being there teaches you a lot about kind of loyalty and stuff like that. Because if you don't have a lot, you stick together and you share everything. Yeah. And then in the business side of things, it's very much fucking cutthroat, and nobody's really loyal. So, sign everything up. But it's a gateway into just so many more opportunities of like social climbing, because we're just a working class family. But then being able to like retire my mum last year was the dream from day one. So being able to do that is like, yeah, shit, that wouldn't have been possible without the network that opened me up to, and the relationships that I could form. People say it all the time, and it is a lot about who you know. What you know is important. How you apply it is even more important. But if it's who you know, they can just skip all that and put you straight in there to have that opportunity. You've got to deliver it. You've got to walk through that door. But ultimately, the opportunities are there. You say your network is so important. That's why I always say to people, learn how to communicate. Either get good at writing or get good at talking, because it will dictate your entire life, being able to communicate and form relationships. So pick one, at least.
How do you build that, like, A-star 10 out of 10 network?
You have to put the graft in. I think you have to give a lot before you take. I think you have to go and provide. A lot of people want things to be given to them.
Yeah.
Where I think at the start, like, if you see someone 5 steps ahead of you, take them for dinner, ask them for a coffee, and just talk, ask questions, and then listen. People want to be around people that make them feel good, ultimately, and everyone loves talking about themselves. So if you can sit there and it's going to cost you the price of a coffee or a lunch or something like that, and you can get 20 years of experience distilled into an hour, you've just saved yourself 10 grand in some shit course you were going to pay for from someone that's actually done it, and it can tell you all those mistakes. So I would just say rinse and repeat that. You have to give before you take, ultimately. And just try and surround yourself with people that are on the same path as you. I think it's like the rule of 3. I always say, spend a third of your time with people that are further ahead, a third of your time with your peers, and a third of your time with people who are 2 steps behind you, because there's gratitude, there's collaboration, and then there's learning. And if you split your time like that, you get a good spread of everything.
I love that. That's such a good framework. I've never heard that. I've got some questions that I wrote down and asked a few people before to throw at you, just for like quick tips, quick advice. We've got about 8 minutes left. So I'm going to reel some off.
Okay.
Immediate thoughts, right? So for somebody who wants to get into a marketing career but has doesn't have a marketing degree or any marketing qualification, what would their kind of first steps be? How can they get into it?
I would say I would be approaching people, and I always say don't really work for free unless you've got the luxury of being able to. Yeah. So basically what I did is approach people and said, look, my fees are normally X, but I know you're taking a risk on me, so I'll reduce them to Y, which is a heavily reduced fee, if you give me the chance to do this. And if we hit the targets, then we move it back up to that. So it de-risks it for them, but also you're getting basically paid to learn on the job as well. So you've got to understand where you share that risk, because I just think working for free, no one's going to value what you do. But if you can also get paid for that, even if it's at a nominal level, just so you understand what it feels like to get paid for your work, and then you're incentivized to hit those targets. If that goes well, everybody wins. So I'd say don't work for free, but you are going to have to work for less, and you are going to have to over-service to death in the initial stages.
100%. And then you can turn that into, when you do great work, you can turn that into a case study.
Correct. From there it gets easier. Once you've got 5 of them, it's so much easier, and then you just keep raising and raising and raising.
That's exactly the process I followed as well, and it works very effectively. Okay, is there a way to kind of instantly grab attention through marketing? Like if you went to hack marketing, right? it's quite a few people ask this, and I see this all the time, like how to hack X amount of followers, how to hack getting X amount of people to your event. Is that possible? Is there a way to hack it on? And if not, why do some people just do so much better than others?
I think it's based on lies. Like, do you want to hack the appearance of being successful, or do you want to hack or find a shortcut to actually being successful? There's a big difference. I am yet to meet anybody in my time on this earth that has hacked anything. It is usually people that sell those hacks for 12 months until someone gets onto them, and then starts selling those hacks on a different platform, or finds a new hack to sell to people. The biggest market in the world is hope. Yes. There will always be reams and reams and reams of hopeful idiots, and this is why this clickbait stuff works. If you actually just wanted the honest opinion of it, it's doing the boring foundational fundamentals day in, day out for 12, 18 months, and don't fucking pick your head up. After that, everything's easy.
Love it. When you're hiring somebody, what do you look for in a hire? What makes a good candidate for a marketing role?
I think as a skill set, always copywriting.
Yeah.
Because ultimately it's so consistent across everything, whether it's social, whether it's ads, whether it's emails, whether it's just fucking client emails, newsletters, whatever. Copy is the core of every single thing. So if they're a naturally talented copywriter or they've got a penchant for it, amazing. And then as far as a personal characteristic, initiative. I love people. I don't want people to come in and, oh, here's this problem. You want someone to go, here's this problem. I've already fixed it. This is what went wrong, and this is what we can do to stop it happening again. People with initiative are very, very easy to stand out. A lot of people are just, I suppose it is just lazy, where you can just bulk send AI-generated shit to everybody. Do you know how many fucking applications all the time? And you can tell within the first 2 lines if they put any effort in at all to try and stand out, or whether this is just sent in bulk to everybody. Yeah. So, yeah, just showing a little bit of interest can go a long way.
Mm-hmm. Wicked. Okay. At the end of every episode, I ask a question to all my guests, which I'm about to come on to. But we've talked a lot about copywriting throughout this, and I think you're pretty prolific now on at least the LinkedIn marketing space for actually being like a really fucking good copywriter, and you're releasing some resources for people who want to essentially just become better. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, correct. So I know a lot of people have been burned by these courses that are just a little bit convoluted and don't really split it out, and they cost a lot. But to get started, so I just thought it'd be useful to basically break it down, have all these really affordable modules focused on different areas. So on Facebook and Meta ads, for instance, or writing landing pages that convert, or fundamentals of storytelling, or how to be funny when you're not funny. Actually,
I'll
how
take
to be
a look.
when you're boring as fuck is the actual title, but I might have to change that just in case. But ultimately, yeah, the goal is for people to come in, they can cherry pick what they need based off their current business setup, get exactly what they need, none of the shit they don't need, and it's small, digestible modules, and it's all backed by actionable data.
Yeah.
I was asked for ages, release this. I've now got 6 years worth of data working across hundreds of campaigns across tens of different clients across every single industry to show what works across every industry, and it's all backed by data. So I think that's a lot more useful than, I think this might work. I saw it on YouTube one day. This is actual real shit that works.
So say I wanted to create a landing page because I'm releasing a digital product. I go on there, find your module for conversion style landing pages, and I can get practical tips, actionable advice from somebody who knows what to do and how to do it.
That's the plan.
Lovely. Sign me up. Okay, let's go to the final question. Yeah. What is your kind of unpopular opinion that could potentially get you cancelled one day? Do you have one?
I just think most people are fucking lazy. I really do. I think it's inbred by the social content that you see all the time. Everything is take it easy, put your feet up, wellness, rest, relaxation. I call it the influencer arc because these people do everything within their power and work every hour God sends to get to that stage. Yes. But then, if you want to keep selling things, you go for the mass market. The mass market does not want to hear that shit. The mass market wants to hear, relax, here's a quote, here's a shit illustration of some steps, take it easy, babes, buy this book and it'll make you feel better. Yeah. So that's why they flip to the take it easy. So a lot of people just jump for the easiest route altogether now, and I think don't complain about the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do. That's that level of entitlement that I see everywhere now. So yeah, for me, I would just say you're probably just not fucking working hard enough.
I so agree with that. Like, and interesting, a lot of people have said that as well on the podcast, and also people who are really successful as well, who, you know, so people who have got the data and have actually done this stuff, and aren't trying to build that, create a big personal brand by selling to a mass market. I feel like now it's quite obvious to spot as well, and it always turns around as well. Like every prolific person now in the media who had that fast rise to fame, suddenly, like, rumours of cancellation begin to emerge because people see through the bullshit.
They do. Everything's cyclical. People want to go for that mass market, and you've just got to realise it. Take a step back and understand where you are in this process. If you want to do anything of substance, you will have to outwork people. You will have to push some days. You will have to do long days. You will have to sacrifice some things. Yet to meet anyone that hasn't done that hasn't been born into money, that has to fucking do things. Yes, not everyone's starting from the same start point. Completely agree with that. But then what are you going to do about it? You're going to sit and whinge about it. You're going to do something about it. When people start talking to me about this generational trauma, when you are a white middle-aged girl born into the 6th richest economy in the world, please stop. Please stop. You want to see generational trauma? Switch on the fucking news. People are being bombed. Like, someone just told you no, get on with it.
That's a great way to end the podcast. if people want to check you out, get access to your copywriting modules, where do they go?
Yeah, I'll drop the link for the waitlist so you can put it into the podcast notes. Or
Wicked.
yeah, you can just follow me on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I'm not anywhere else because I don't like social media.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, mate.
No worries. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to listen to Rebels podcast with me, Shoaib Ahmed. If you've been watching us on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you've been listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, then please give us a 5-star rating and a follow. The more successful this podcast gets, the bigger and better guests we can have on in the future.